All set.
Okay, Okay, everybody. Thank you all for coming. I know it's hard to start presenting after lunch, but I'm happy to see some faces here. My name is Professor Derek Stadler. I'm the Web Services Librarian and Head of Media Services at CUNY's LaGuardia Community College. For those of you who don't know where that is in Long Island City, right across the East River from Manhattan. And what I'm going to be speaking about is a OER that we developed in the library called FinLit for Life. And what we're going to do in this session is I'm going to provide an overview of the FinRit grant that we applied for. Then I'm going to go over the importance of teaching college students about uh, financial literacy. And I'm going to define what that is and also what a critical financial literacy lens is. Then I'm going to look at how FinLit was developed, and then I'm going to highlight it by showing what it looks like as we get towards the end. And then if we have time, I'm going to take any questions, but feel free to interrupt me if you want, if there's something that's not clear. All right, so Uh, the the main goal of creating the OER that we developed was to increase students' financial literacy and, more importantly, critical financial literacy. I want to define both of these terms. In short, financial literacy is a person's capacity to manage money, but in more complex definitions fall into five categories: knowledge of financial concepts, the ability to communicate about financial concepts, the ability to manage personal finances, the skill level in making acceptable financial decisions, and lastly, the ability to plan effectively for future financial needs. Uh, FinLit for Life, what we develop, considers financial literacy concepts using or adapting existing OER, creating new material to fill information gaps, and lastly, foregrounding a critical financial literacy perspective. So critical financial literacy empowers citizens to make informed choice on whether they should modify and or create an alternative economic system that will give rise to better, more socially just individuals. The FinLit for Life team focused on mining the already vast literature on personal finance, viewing it through a critical financial literacy lens. Through this lens, we address historic inequities, try to bridge gaps in financial knowledge among students whose perspectives are often not heard. For example, FinLit for Life considers the financial and or investor education of students making $25,000 a year or less, students of color or who are Hispanic, or those with a physical or the psychological disability, or maybe limited in their knowledge about finances because of their background. FinLit for Life helps ensure diversity, equity, inclusion by making sure that sources and practices are based on that lens. This point of view considers social, historical, and ideological forces and structures and associated inequities that we've all experienced. Lastly, FinLit for Life was created with LaGuardia students to ensure that it reflected their lived experiences. looking at the demographics of LaGuardia students, 99% of our students receive some form of financial aid in 2021 and 2022. And about half of them had incomes that were below $25,000 a year. Uh, we, we also knew of an interest in personal finance because of the feedback that we received from our Money Boss workshops that are are operated out of our library. So we had students that really wanted to know more about personal finance um, after coming to these workshops. So it kind of struck our interest in, maybe going more into how we could provide more of a financial knowledge to our students. Here's a little look at a student financial literacy survey when students were asked how important it is that the college teach students about financial literacy. 57% of students in our first year seminar program said it was very important. 21% said it was important. In capstone courses, it was 58% of students felt that it was very important, and 25% said it was important. So the FINRA grant is managed by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, which is a government authorized not-for-profit organization that oversees U.S. broker dealers to ensure that everyone can participate in the market with confidence to protect investors and ensure the financial market's integrity. With the maximum awards of $50,000, the FINRA Library Grant supports public and academic libraries in their efforts to meet financial and or investor education needs at the community college level by providing high quality education services and resources. It also aims to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion in access to personal finance, education, and information. Financial literacy is how to strategically manage money and financial relationships, according to FINRA, in budgeting and credit today and in the future of finance. It includes the ability to make informed judgments and to make effective decisions in money management. We did apply for it in 2022, and we did receive it in the form of $50,000. It was actually just short of $50,000, but with the funds, we developed this new resource that provides financial and or investor education to our students in the form of FinLit for Life, teaching financial literacy at a community college. The target, as I've been mentioning, was to hit the needs of the population of students at the college, and in particular those who come from a household that makes under a certain amount of money, or whose heritage language is not English. We did try to create this with that critical financial literacy lens, and it was created in collaboration with 8 students that came from different backgrounds, and these 8 students provided feedback and suggestions in how to revise the chapters that we developed so that it spoke to them. And each of these 8 students were also fluent in another language besides English, so they could help us translate our glossary of terms into the 8 different languages and also asked them to revise the translations in a way that in language that made the most sense to them, so that we knew they could have these definitions speaking to their peers. The chapters of FinLit are on budgeting and investing. There is a glossary of financial terms that I mentioned already. There's an annotated list of resources on specific topics. And there are also interactive maps of local banks in the Queens area here, which is where Long Island City is. And we also had our 8 students create testimonials on video of their experience. And of course, the best thing about FinLit for Life is that it's freely available and accessible online. It is a Creative Commons license, so that therefore it can be adapted so long as attribution is given to the creator. And lastly, it's relevant to all of our students. So no matter what discipline you're in, you can look at it and try to get a sense more of what how to get more financial literacy skills. In addition to library faculty at the college, we also had two members of our staff, and we also had 2 people from outside of LaGuardia. One was a high school teacher, and one was more educated on financial literacy, because my background is in computer science, and which is my undergraduate, and I have a history degree and a library degree. So finance is not really my specialty. So I learned a lot, in this process. But 2 of our members were from our Money Boss workshop series. So they kind of helped us along with trying to find the appropriate existing OER that was out there. And we also had reviewers from our campus that were professors in our business department. And Leslie, those are our students that were really a joy to work with all of them. In year 1, we created FinLit, and we had it based on this financial literacy lens. We had students review and revise it based on their own personal and family experiences through these workshops that we conducted with them. And then we revised it based on their feedback, and we published it that year in year 1. In year 2 of the project, we tracked the number of classes that were using it. We had before and after instruction surveys about how did students feel that they gain more knowledge of finance. We also assessed their understanding through quizzes, and we also had a survey to measure student achievement that was promoted through the Money Boss workshop series. And we also scheduled at least one workshop in the library per semester. And we also had a student contest, and we participated in the college-wide programming. And based on the students who actually worked on the OER and student feedback that we got, we did do more revisions after the 2 years. So it's kind of like a living OER that gets constantly revised. Basically, students wanted more examples on how to create a monthly budgeting worksheet. And to my surprise, they wanted more of an understanding about how to open up a checking account, which I thought, probably ignorantly was that people don't use checking accounts anymore. But the students really wanted to know more about that. Um, and they also wanted to, to find out more about budgeting applications that were out there. That they wanted to know more about how to file their income taxes, and also more finance videos and photographs. The students were more into, the media that we put into it than actually reading the text that was there. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm just going to open up our OER. I'm also going to put the slideshow into the chat as well, if there's anything you want to have a look at. I also have a bibliography at the end. I am a librarian, so I want to make sure that I quoted everything that I mentioned. Uh, and a link to FinLit is in the chat, and I'm going to share it on my screen. So here's what it looks like. You can click on the read more option and go through each of the chapters at a time, or you can scroll down to the contents. You can look at the introduction, which kind of goes over the college and the need for this OER. And then the student testimonials are really interesting to hear how the student, their experience creating this. And, all of them were international students, I think. I don't remember now, but I think most of them were. There might have been one that was not. But for all of them, English was not their first language. They had a heritage language. Then here's a look at some of the chapters. We had a section on spending, budgeting. There was a section on investing, and we also had a more personal finance section that we actually added later. We actually added it last winter because we wanted to add more revisions based on more feedback that we got from current students. So there is, just for example, we do have a section on U.S. income taxes. So you're going to see there is some text, but most of what we have is videos, or there are tutorials, or maybe links to worksheets that students can fill out. But I think what made the project interesting was the glossary of terms, which is in English naturally, but each one of the students helped translate these terms into their own language. And so here, for example, is English and Bengali. So we have the English term and then the translation, which the students helped us with. Well, that's a rough overview of the project. It was a very interesting experience. It was a 2-year project that is still kind of going on. As I mentioned, we're constantly looking at it, and because things change. There's more updated videos that we can add, and more topics that come up. So we're still trying to get feedback from students to see what they like to see. Our Money Boss workshop series that run out of the library is a very active project here on campus. So we are constantly getting feedback from students on what they would like to see in this. So does anybody have any questions of the entire project?
Hello, Derek. How you doing? This is Melissa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Okay. I really love this project. I was wondering, so have you guys kept teaching these kind of classes? Have you done an assessment of how things had changed in the last 5 years? Are there future plans? I wonder, I think this is something that perhaps I thought on LaGuardia, years ago, but I think many other community college within the CUNY and SUNY system should do something like this.
We haven't done an assessment over the past 5 years, but we probably should, but we kind of constantly want to revise this. So we spent 2 months last year, you're revising it, and we're approved your release time to actually do that. So it's a it's an ongoing project that we kind of want to assess and keep it going because we see it's important because students are interested in it and in gaining more financial literacy for sure. Thank you for that. But it's a good idea to do that um, uh, long range assessment to see how things have changed over the past 5 years because the COVID years are in that span too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder because I'm thinking sort of in the future if you will be able to get funding. Sometimes if you already have that made up, ready
Yeah.
made, it will help you for the future, get more funds for that. But good luck and great job.
Yeah. It was uh thank you, Michelle. Yeah, it was a good I would apply for a similar project again. The only downside was we couldn't pay ourselves. The faculty that worked on this at the college, including myself, we couldn't budget money out of the funds for that. So that money went to the students and to the people that we hired from outside. So we had to use our own time to do it, which we were very happy working on the project for sure. But it is a good grant to apply for, I feel.
Thank you very much, Derek. That was very informative. We
Sure.
appreciate you being here today.
Sure. Thank you.